Hey everybody, it's Mattie here with Altcoin Buzz. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend out there in the Altcoin Buzz army. We're looking at Ethereum, which is in the news today. We're taking a look at some Ethereum that's been moved according to some wallet forensics. We'll take a look at that. While we're on the subject of Ethereum, it's come up in the public sphere. Joe Rogan discusses Ethereum-based Twitter. And this is in the context of some recent social media banning. We'll get into that topic, but let's begin as always on altcoinbuzz.io with this article hot off the press by Chris. Canada utilizes the Ethereum blockchain for the public good. So something from my very own backyard, my corner of the world. What's the story here? The National Research Council of Canada, the NRC, is launching a blockchain explorer on the Ethereum blockchain for published grants and contributed data. The country had a successful public trial in January 2018 for the transparent administration of government contracts. It seems like we're pretty gung-ho on Ethereum here, and it seems like the Canadian government is certainly open-minded when it comes to incorporating blockchain into some of the medium to large scale government initiatives. This is something that's been discussed in my country here to one degree or another in the last few months, and it's a great thing to see. So the National Research Council of Canada, through the Industrial Research Assistant Program, is launching an Ethereum blockchain explorer on a BitAccess product, the Catena blockchain suite. This news comes after a successful January 2018 public trial for the transparent administration of government contracts. So you guys can take a look at that story here on bitaccess.ca. Government of Canada expanding blockchain technology experiment with IPFS implementation. And if you're not familiar with the National Research Council of Canada, as I imagine most of you are not, check out their website here, Exploring Blockchain for Better Business. If there are any Canadians out there, let me know your opinion. I, for one, like to see this embracing of blockchain, this involvement, this willingness to engage with projects and smart contracts, especially if it's something like Ethereum, which is more stable in my books. I'm encouraged by this kind of news. So, quote, our goal is to enable institutions to become fully transparent, yes, and enable constituents to participate in the verification and validation of public information. We built the Catena blockchain suite as a simple, low-risk application for institutions to get introduced to blockchain technology. So far, the reception has been terrific, and that's a quote courtesy of Mo Adam, co-founder of BitAccess. So let us know what you think about this out there in the Altcoin Buzz army. I'm encouraged. I like to see what comes of it. I have every reason to believe that so far they're going to go ahead and they're going to oversee this project responsibly. And more so than the project itself, I'm excited to see what kind of good press comes out of this. So if this is in any way a successful pilot project, for example, that could garner a lot of positive exposure in not only the local media, but beyond that, internationally, potentially one day. So while we're on the subject of Ethereum, let's take a look at this article by Luke, Ethereum investor moving millions in Ethereum to Bitfinex. So troubling times ahead for Ethereum holders? Hopefully not. This week, an Ethereum whale has funneled approximately 20,000 Ethereum to Bitfinex, the total worth more than $5.5 million at the time of writing. Who the investor is currently not known. What is known, however, is that the anonymous investor received more than 314,000 ETH from the network's Genesis block as a result of their investments in the Ethereum initial coin offering. So this Ethereum movement attracted the attention of a California-based attorney, Zoe Dolan, who wrote, just a reminder that 93,750 ETH recently went from the Genesis block wallet through to Bitfinex. So Dolan, who has been monitoring wallets holding funds that originated in the Ethereum Genesis block for evidence of capitulation, revealed this discovery on Twitter. And you guys can check out the Ethereum accounts here on etherscan.io if you're into these kinds of digital forensics. So take my word for it, but we will link to it in the description below. You can check it out further if you like. You can launch into the investigation actively along with Miss Dolan. As can be seen below, the Ethereum investor moved the funds about 2 days ago. The unknown investor's original wallet, meanwhile, still holds more than 104,000 Ethereum, worth approximately $28 million. So of course, guys, this is somewhat speculative, right? We don't know one way or another what's happening. It's just that's the nature of this sector, right? We can see these transactions. We can see these wallet movements. It's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but let us know what you think about Luke's comments here in his article in the description below. So he closes by saying it seems unlikely that Ether's price will fall below $100 or even below $200. I happen to think it's at a bargain right now. Not financial advice, but we're seeing some very good prices for Ethereum, which is still the backbone of so many projects out there, some of which certainly have been underwhelming, but it's still the support structure for a lot of the good ones out there, and there are a lot of good ones. So he says that because more legitimate projects have recently been launched on the Ethereum blockchain. Yes, I could not agree more. Let us know what you guys think about this. If you have some deeper insights into this particular movement of Ethereum funds, then do be sure to let us know about that in the comments below. Again, check out the etherscan.io information. Don't take my word for it. It's all there available for you. That's the beauty of the blockchain. In other Ethereum news, I wanted to highlight this because I'm kind of a fan of what this article describes. But Joe Rogan, by the way, if you're not watching his podcast, you are poor for not having it in your life because it's fantastic. He discusses Ethereum-based Twitter in light of Alex Jones, who you may know about, you may not be a fan of, you may be a fan of, who knows, but he has been basically censored off of all kinds of social media in recent times. So on the Joe Rogan podcast, American singer-songwriter Shooter Jennings and Joe Rogan discussed Ethereum-based Twitter alternative IPFS, which allows anyone to release permanent tweets embedded into the blockchain without censorship. Now, we're having this discussion in the context of censorship, in the context of, some controversial figures out there in the online world. That's fine. The only reason I'm bringing it up, however, is because the Joe Rogan podcast reaches hundreds of thousands, if not millions, and sometimes even tens of millions of people, at least the very popular recordings. So when Rogan had Schiff on, for example, and even though he came on and slammed Bitcoin, the fact that it was discussed openly, the fact that it brought a lot of people into that sort of information web for the first time, I look at it as a good thing. It's just more and more exposure. So I'm not bringing up this matter because it's a controversial one. I'm not really here to discuss the censorship one way or the other. But I like the fact that that was the vehicle through which, as far as context goes, it was the vehicle that facilitated this discussion of alternatives to these traditional, I guess now, traditional social media, like Twitter, like Facebook, like others. So the fact that Joe Rogan on his mega massive podcast and YouTube channel and all the different ways you can absorb that information is discussing Ethereum, is discussing sort of these possibilities, these alternatives that maybe nobody's even heard about. And the fact that there's now an association that's created between that and blockchain, it's fantastic. So there's this thing called IPFS. It's a Twitter alternative. It's just starting. It's kind of like Twitter, but it's built on the back of Ethereum. So every tweet or every message you send on it is embedded in the blockchain of Ethereum's, said his guest, Jennings. So Jennings explained that decentralized systems are uniquely important as they allow individuals to initiate activities that are not monitored or restricted by a central authority, unlike most existing platforms. So he said, quote, "You can't delete anything because it is permanently embedded into the blockchain. I think up to 10 of your messages can be logged in one block of the Ethereum chain, so you have to pay a cent of it. They give you some to begin with, and then somebody messages you. It's kind of like a microtransaction to you, so you can have this kind of balance. It sounds complicated, but it's cool. I don't know if it'll become the next rage, but it is technologically really fun." This article in particular then goes on to discuss maybe some of the other applications and what's happening with the Turkish lira, what's happening in countries like Venezuela. So you can read more about that if you're interested. I just think it's great to see people like Rogan, who are kind of already the open-minded types, who are really the individuals willing to have conversations about sometimes esoteric topics. I love to see guys like him really, at least even if not championing, at least having the discussions about these kinds of possibilities and what they could entail as far as new proposals, new systems, new concepts. I'm very encouraged by that. So let us know what you think about that in the comments below. We're also going to link to that particular podcast. And, as always, they discuss a whole bunch of things when they have these long form discussions, but we'll make sure to link to the one that's been referenced here. And with that, guys, make sure you're following Altcoin Buzz and Altcoin Buzz News on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Telegram, of course. Let us know what you think about the news. A lot of Ethereum news today. Market's doing pretty well, and there seems to be some positive sentiment that's seeping in for the first time in a while. Looks like we're getting a bit of a support, and that's not something I'm going to discuss at length, but you can check out Mark's latest TA video. Do be sure to check out our latest video, whatever it may be, on the right of your screen here. Click on the link as well to get to altcoinbuzz.io with our latest articles. Let us know what you think about everything in the comments below, and as always, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army, if you choose to invest, I wish you happy investing, and more importantly, I wish you a very happy weekend. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.